what we can do to help our planet. For this activity, we are reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. This is an interactive and shared reading activity. For the role of the Lorax, the whole class will read out loud together. While reading through the book, ask the students a series of questions to help develop their skills in meaning making and critical analysis. Explore elements of the setting and nouns that refer to the characters. Foster a classroom discussion. Some questions to ask the class. What do we think is going to happen if the Once-a cuts down more trees? How do we think the Barbaloots are feeling here? How do they look? What changes to the environment do we notice? What did it look like at the beginning of the Once-a story compared to at the end? The first activity focuses on trees. Ask the class, why do we need trees? And why do we cut them down? Host a class discussion on why trees are important for our environment. After this, the students make their own version of a truffler tree. It can look any way they please. They can use a variety of materials, and once completed, the students share their design with the class. For the main activity, what are some things we can do to help our planet? With the sentence starter, we can help our planet by brainstorm some ideas. For example, planting more trees, cutting down less trees, making less pollution. After a few sentences have been made, print them out into a book. Each student gets a copy and makes their own illustrations to go with the sentences. Students can use a variety of materials to make their own images corresponding to the text. For students with good reading comprehension, further extend the task for them to recreate the sentences into a rhyming format. For example, can you please plant more trees? This is a Year Level 2 class, and this activity links to the curriculum in both English and visual arts. Develop students' understanding that nouns represent people, places, things, and ideas. Use comprehension strategies to build literal and inferred meaning, and begin to analyze texts by drawing on growing knowledge of context, language, and visual features. Experiment with different materials, techniques, and processes to make artworks. The read aloud activity enhances students' comprehension and thinking processes. They can be encouraged to make connections between what is in the book and what they already know. The teacher can also encourage other comprehension processes such as inferring and summarizing by asking questions of the text. Books that are selected for shared reading should contain repetitive structures and predictable parts so the students can join in. Books like The Lorax with rhymes and refrains are ideal. Reading aloud helps students learn about reading fluency as they hear the educator read fluently and with expression. For students to become multi-literate readers and writers, they need to first understand that texts are consciously constructed. Meanings are actively constructed. A single text may have several possible meanings. Texts are constructed from a variety of semiotic systems, and text can be multimodal and interactive. The notion that texts are not neutral links to Luke, Freebody, and Muspratt's Social Practices of Reading, where all texts represent cultural positions, ideologies, and discourses. Their four-tiered model stresses coding, meaning, pragmatic, and critical practices. This activity focuses on coding practices, text meaning practices, and critical practices, as students are not expected to sit and listen while the teacher reads the story from beginning to end. They are encouraged to interact with the text, answer questions, and read into the meaning behind the text. This links to the critical model of schooling, which encourages students to interrogate the text and the curriculum and question the story. The critical model challenges students and teachers to actively participate in democracy and move literacy beyond text and into social actions. This activity focuses on the discussion behind the text and the environmental issues present in our lives today. This links to Hamilton and Barton's principle number 3. Literacy practices contain ideologies and values. Literacy practices exist in social relations, therefore the setting of social literacy events is important. The ideological model takes into consideration that literacy is a symbolic system used for representing the world to ourselves, which we see reflected in the symbolism of the text. When teachers and students assume an ideological model of literacy, They engage in literacy practices that are meaningful and purposeful to those involved. The final link here is to Aaliyah. Meaning making is at the heart of all literate practices. Aaliyah states that a literate person must have a wide range of abilities and competencies to make meaning in the face of ever-changing social contexts. Therefore, as teachers, we must teach and assess literacy by involving a wide range of meaningful literacy activities. These activities we plan need to reflect different modes of communication and a wide range of contemporary demands. Students need to be engaged, interested, and influenced to contribute in different social settings and across learning areas.